BMW X5. The X5 is the model that invented a segment. When BMW launched the first generation E53 in 1999, there was no established category called the premium midsize SUV. There were luxury saloons, there were off-road vehicles, and there was the X5, which created something genuinely new by combining the road manners of a 5 Series with the visual presence and practicality of a large off-roader. Competitors arrived quickly: the Mercedes ML, the Porsche Cayenne, the Audi Q7, but the X5 maintained a singular identity across 5 generations. The current G05 generation received a facelift in 2023 that brought split-level headlight graphics, an updated kidney grille, and revised interior trim in line with the design language introduced on the 7 Series. The iDrive 8 system replaced the previous generation's interface, and the driver assistance suite was updated to support hands-free operation on motorways in certain markets. The xDrive 50e plug-in hybrid is the current powertrain highlight, a 3.0-liter straight-six petrol engine combined with an electric motor to produce 489 horsepower and offer around 80 kilometers of electric-only range. In real-world fleet use, this has proven to be one of the most effective PHEV implementations in the large SUV segment. The X5M and X5M Competition represent the performance upper limit. The Competition produces 625 horsepower from a twin-turbocharged V8, handles with precision that seems physically improbable for a vehicle of this size, and stops from 62 miles per hour in under 34 meters with the carbon ceramic brake option. It is a car that confuses expectations in the best possible way. Competitors include the Porsche Cayenne Turbo, the Mercedes GLE 63, and the Lamborghini Urus. Each excellent, each characterful, each slightly less composed on a public road than the X5M. By 2026, BMW is expected to confirm the timeline for the next full X5 generation and may preview Neue Klasse-inspired technology ahead of that model's arrival. BMW X7. The X7 occupies a unique position in BMW's lineup as the brand's only full-size 7-seat SUV. It entered production in 2019 as a direct response to a gap in the market. BMW's customers who needed 3 rows of seating had nowhere to go within the brand, and many of them were buying the Mercedes GLS or the Cadillac Escalade instead. The X7 corrected that in a single product cycle. It was large enough to genuinely seat 7 adults, expensive enough to compete with the S-Class SUV equivalents, and still recognizably BMW in the way it handled a corner. The 2022 facelift brought the X7 visually in line with the new 7 Series, split headlights, illuminated grille elements, and a more dramatic overall presence. The interior update was equally significant, with the curved display unit replacing the previous generation's individual screens and improving the sense of technological coherence throughout the cabin. Third-row passengers benefited from improved legroom in the revised packaging, addressing one of the original X7's most consistent criticisms. The powertrain range spans from the 40i straight-six petrol through the 40D diesel to the M60i, which uses a twin-turbocharged 4.4-liter V8, producing 530 horsepower. The Alpina XB7, built in collaboration with Alpina before BMW's full acquisition of that company, pushed output to 621 horsepower through a retuned version of the same V8 with quad turbocharged induction. It was the most powerful 7-seat family SUV available from a mainstream manufacturer. With Alpina now fully absorbed into BMW, successor models to the XB7 concept will likely carry M or M performance branding rather than the Alpina name. By 2026, BMW is expected to introduce a plug-in hybrid X7 variant targeting the growing demand for electrified large SUVs from premium buyers in markets with strict emissions incentives. BMW M2. The M2 is the car that, perhaps more than any other in BMW's current lineup, carries the emotional weight of what the M division once was. M cars began their story in compact, lightweight form. The M1, the E30 M3, where extraordinary performance came not from enormous power outputs, but from precision, balance, and engagement. The modern M division has moved considerably upstream in power and price, and the M2 remains the clearest reminder of where the story started. The current G87 M2, launched in 2022, uses the S58 engine shared with the M3 and M4 in a 460 horsepower state of tune. a figure that would have seemed implausible in an M2 even 5 years ago. The car is wider than its predecessor, heavier, and by some measures more intimidating. Critics noted these things, but they also noted that on the road and on a circuit, the G87 delivers a quality of engagement and driver communication that is genuinely rare at any price. Rear-wheel drive is standard and non-negotiable. A 6-speed manual gearbox was available at launch, an increasingly uncommon feature in the modern performance car landscape, and one that generated significant positive attention. The M2 does not make commercial sense if you evaluate it purely by the numbers. It costs only slightly less than the M3, takes its engine from the M3, and offers less boot space and fewer seats. What it offers instead is a smaller, lighter, more focused experience in a package that still fits in a normal parking space and doesn't attract unwanted attention from every direction. For buyers who have driven both, many choose the M2 for precisely that reason. By 2026, BMW is expected to introduce a competition specification with a modest power increase and revised suspension calibration, alongside the possibility of a track-focused CS variant to close out the G87 generation. BMW M4 Competition. The M4 Competition is the car that defines what BMW's M division means in the current era. It uses the S58 3.0-liter twin-turbocharged straight-six in 2 configurations, 510 horsepower in standard competition form with rear-wheel drive, and 510 horsepower with MX Drive all-wheel drive for the X-Drive variant. The all-wheel drive version's 0 to 62 time of 3.5 seconds makes it one of the fastest accelerating production BMW's ever offered at a mainstream price point, while still offering the option to disable the front axle and switch to a rear-wheel drive configuration for more involved driving. The M4 Competition Coupe competes in a segment that has thinned considerably over recent years. The Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, the Mercedes-AMG C63, and the Audi RS5 represent the main rivals. Of those, only the BMW offers both rear-wheel drive and a true combustion-first performance character. The AMG has moved to a hybrid 4-cylinder arrangement that delivers extraordinary power figures, but a fundamentally different character, and the Audi prioritizes all-weather usability over outright driver engagement. The BMW occupies a defined space as the driver's choice in the segment. The M4 CSL, launched in 2022 in a production run limited to 1,000 units globally, demonstrated what the platform could do when weight reduction became the priority. Carbon fiber bucket seats replaced the rear seating entirely, Michelin Cup 2R tires replaced the standard Pilot Sport 4S, and power was raised to 543 horsepower. The result was a lap time at the Nürburgring Nordschleife of 7 minutes 17 seconds, faster than most dedicated track cars. All 1,000 units were pre-sold before public deliveries began. By 2026, the M4 Competition will continue in production, with potential updates to the exhaust system and traction control calibration, while internal planning for the next generation platform begins in parallel with the Neue Klasse development timeline. BMW Neue Klasse. Neue Klasse is BMW's name for the platform and design architecture that will define the brand's next decade. The name carries deliberate historical weight. The original Neue Klasse models of the 1960s were the vehicles that saved BMW from bankruptcy and established the engineering principles that every subsequent BMW was built upon. Using that name again signals that BMW views this transition as similarly foundational. The platform is designed exclusively for fully electric drivetrains. There are no combustion or hybrid variants planned. Neue Klasse is BMW's dedicated EV architecture, separate from the flexible platforms currently used on the 5 Series and X3 range. BMW claims it will deliver 30% more range per charge, 30% faster DC charging speeds, and 25% better overall energy efficiency compared to the current generation of BMW electric vehicles. Those are significant claims, but the engineering approach that underpins them is credible. A new cylindrical cell battery format with higher energy density, a new motor design with lower internal resistance, and a thermal management system that maintains cell temperature in a narrower range to preserve charging speed in cold weather. The interior design philosophy is equally ambitious. A single panoramic curved display spans the full width of the dashboard, incorporating the instrument cluster, infotainment screen, and a heads-up projection system into a unified visual surface. Physical controls are reduced further than in any current BMW. A new operating system, developed in-house rather than in partnership with external providers, will power the interface and support continuous over-the-air development. The first production Neue Klasse model is expected to arrive in 2025 as a 3 Series sized electric saloon built at BMW's new plant in Debrecen, Hungary. A Neue Klasse-based electric X3 equivalent will follow in 2026, marking the beginning of a model rollout that will eventually replace the current generation of BMW electric vehicles across the full range.